Episode 18, Getting Expelled from College. This story is about my attempts at getting a college degree and my unorthodox entrepreneurial efforts at that time. After high school, I worked at the Harvard Medical School as a gopher in the physiology department for a year. Then I started college at Boston State Teachers College, which was just down the street from Harvard Medical on Huntington Avenue at the corner of Longwood Avenue. I had no intention to be a teacher, but tuition there was only $100 per year compared to Boston College or BU, for instance. That was about $800 a year. I was broke, and if I wanted a college degree, I had to pay the tuition. My thought process at that time was that I should devote 100% of my time for school because I was very unsure about my abilities as a student, so I needed some money. I never learned disciplined study habits until later and barely graduated from high school. An easy opportunity came to me from a friend at Boston University. He was selling college and professional football game pick cards at $1 a piece. Football cards were a gambling instrument. They listed 5 of the weekend college or professional games and the teams playing. The buyer had to pick the winners of all 5 games and buy a card for $1. If all 5 teams won, the buyer would get a big payoff based on the odds. The sponsor of these cards was the Boston Mob, although with many levels of various bookmaker managing. My BU friend laid off his cards with a Back Bay barroom bookie. After directly contacting my friend's bookie, I was offered the Boston Teachers College as a franchise. If I remember correctly, my cut of each card sold was 50 cents. I began to sell cards like crazy. I got them on Wednesday of each game week. Everybody wanted them. I started to expand by recruiting other student salesmen at my college. They got half of my cut. By this time, we were already through the college football season, and the cards covered only professional games. I had recruited salesmen at Boston College, Northeastern University, and a replacement at BU for my friend who had quit. Plus, I had 2 guys at my own school doing it. I was splitting my cut with the other guys. That was my downfall. I was taking in about $500 a week and netting about $150 a week. It was a sweet deal, but short-lived. There was a neighborhood men's bar across the street from the school called Old Tools. That was my headquarters, where bookkeeping and distribution of the cards and the money was done. O'Toole's also had cheap hot dogs, dime draft beers, and had historically never checked an ID, and was a quiet refuge from classes. As a service, sometimes I delivered cards and picked up the proceeds from outlying college reps. One of my teacher's college salesmen was Jackie Driscoll from Dorchester. He badly needed the money and worked hard at it. I was nervous about him because he was weird, flighty, always frightened, and worried that he would get caught by the college officials or the cops. There was no specific college regulation against football cards, but we assumed it would come under the anti-gambling rule. I think about it today and how our state government has become the only bookie. Yet in the student lounge, kids played cards, poker, etc. by the hour, often for money. No administration ever cracked down on that, so I felt our risk was low. Boy, was I wrong. Jackie was caught by a dean in the act of taking money for a card. They brought him into the president's office and squeezed him. In the worst Irish Informer tradition, Jackie gave me up first and then all the other teachers' college reps. He did not know any of the BC, BU, or other college reps, or he would have rolled over on them too. In fact, if he knew any names, he would have turned in the bookies and even the North End Capo. Jackie and the other reps were allowed to remain as students with minor punishment. The college used the anti-gambling regulation to expel me early in the second semester of my freshman year at Boston Teachers College. It was not taken well at home. Although I was paying for the college myself, Mother and Dad were very encouraging to all of us who went to college. Although there was no real moral compunction about gambling in my house, my father loved Suffolk Downs and the horses, yet getting yourself caught was considered dumbass. So what do I do now, I asked myself. Well, many Irish families in Boston were politically savvy. A little volunteer work for candidates during campaigns kept those politicians' doors open when you needed them. Since Boston Teachers College was a state college, maybe there was a political favor that would reverse the expulsion. Again, my older brother Gary was the key. One of his good friends was Jim Rowan, chief aide to Congressman Tip O'Neill, Speaker of the House of Representatives. O'Neill was from Cambridge and was our congressman. Gary had graduated from Harvard by this time and was married and going to Boston College Law School at night. Although my father was not a fan of O'Neill's, I prevailed upon him to allow Gary to prevail upon Rowan, who would then prevail upon O'Neill to prevail upon the college. Everyone prevailed in tandem, and 4 days after being booted out, I was reinstated at school with the understanding that I would find another, more legit part-time job. What was the moral of this story? What did I learn as a Boston kid from this experience? I learned 3 things. 1. Gambling is treated schizophrenically by authorities. It is usually winked at, although sometimes enforcement is swift. And 2. Political power is almost supreme. I still think I did nothing wrong, but after being caught, I played the game the way it was dealt out, thanks to my brother and Tip. 3. Always keep information compartmentalized. Do not let your employees know the whole picture. Tell them only as much as they need to know, and they cannot hurt you. This is Rod Murphy. Thank you for viewing or listening to my YouTube and podcast episodes. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy them, please hit the subscribe button. It does not cost you anything, and it helps me to grow my audience. Again, my thanks.